This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow from Equidaily.com, Steve Vick from Sirius and XM's At the Races. We've kind of drawn the chalk circle a little wider. The winner's circle from yesterday comes out to the backstretch this morning. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'm going to toss it over to Steve. There's a charity event this morning that he's going to talk a little bit about before we actually get into the interview conversation.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hope you enjoyed what was a fabulous Whitney day. Today, 11 till noon. If you're coming over early, please stop in front of the Silks room because Eddie Stanko and Todd Pletcher and Javier Castellano all on board and all ready to sign posters of Princess Asilmar for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. And this is a wonderful charity that looks after children with cancer and is looking for cures. St. Baldrick's, 11 till noon in front of the Silks room. You can meet Todd Pletcher, Ed Stanko, Javier Castellano, buy a Princess Asilmar t-shirt, have them sign the poster, and it's all for something very, very good. And hope you'll do that if you're on your way to the track this morning. If you weren't here yesterday, you missed an outstanding Tour de Force performance from Moreno. And we're lucky enough to have El Moreno and Mike Moreno and Eric Gio. He's the Moreno and you get the mic.
No. That's Magic Mike on the mic over there.
I got to know. I was in downtown Saratoga last night, and as is typical on a Saturday in August, there was a big party going on, a lot of people around. But I'm imagining somewhere in Saratoga, you guys were having a better party. What was that like last night?
Last night was a pretty good night. In fact, Eric called at 9:30, and I was still in bed, and he said that if we wanted to come to this show, so we had to drag ourselves out of bed this morning.
I love it. You know, obviously there are so many storylines involved here, and Mike, for you and for your involvement in the game and the investment you've made in the game, you know, to have a horse like this come along that has been, you know, instantly successful and really has operated under Eric's guidance at the highest level, it's got to be tremendously satisfying.
It really is, you know, but this business is such a business of highs and lows, and we experienced that yesterday.
For sure.
We had an extremely low experience on the fifth race. We had a horse that was euthanized and had to be put down or had a heart attack, and it was just kind of a crazy couple hours after that. You know, I wasn't even focused on the race, and my mind was somewhere else. I didn't even go in the paddock and saddle the horse. I was just that upset about what happened in the fifth, and then all of a sudden, you know, redemption. So it's a crazy game.
Well, and in terms of redemption and in terms of turnabout, here is a year removed from the Travers and some controversy that came out of it subsequently. But moving past that, Eric, you've had this horse on edge and waiting for an opportunity like this all year. He's been competitive at the highest level.
Yeah, Steve, you know, he's really hadn't done much wrong. I mean, the British Cup, he injured himself in the race, you know, for the Classic. Going into that race, he was doing spectacular. He had a hard campaign last year and came into the fall good. Gave him 3 months off to have some splint bones, fractured split bone, heal up. Going on 4 months, came back. Probably would have won the race in Arkansas on Oak Lawn. He went off the layup, did well. I had to ship him 4 van rides and 4 plane rides in 10 days to go to Charlestown, which I didn't even think he fit, and still ran well off a 6-month layoff. And then I thought the Suburban was as good as a race as he's ever ran. I mean, the configuration of the track, an 11-hole. Yet every gambler told me that it was a hard spot. You know, we broke with him and we 3 behind. We had to use him up to get the lead. Is this the Suburban?
No, this is yesterday.
Okay, so the Suburban I thought was, you know, they pressed him every step of the way, and he only needs to come to the horse that came 20 off the lead on the inside to hold on for second, and going 46 and 4 and 110 and change, going a mile and a quarter. So dropping back in distance for yesterday, I figured if he got an easy lead, which he did.
So what are you guys feeling when that 47 comes?
I like the 47. That reminded me of the 49, I think, or the 48 and change for the Travers last year. When I saw the 111 and change, I thought he'd be salty.
And he certainly was coming down the stretch here. I was standing with Joe Clancy watching the big screen in the clubhouse downstairs, and that 47 came up. I said, it's going to be tough to reel in at that point. He certainly was. Speaking of, I was watching the big screen after the race. I headed out to the winner's circle. Where were you watching? Because you were. I was right behind you. Were you watching over the Mutual base right underneath there?
I was watching right underneath there, so it's close because it's so crowded yesterday. You know, you really can't get back to the horse and stuff if you're far away, and can't go upstairs. So I was watching right there on TV. You can see so much better on TV than live. At any racetrack, I kind of like to watch and see, especially younger horses when I can learn something from them. And so yeah, it was. I lost my voice hollering, just telling him, ride him, Junior, over and over and over. Because I figured he was getting close, and when I saw him turn for home and open up a couple, I was like, oh, this is gonna be tough.
You look at the splits.
Look at the guy. I didn't even see the replay.
He keeps galloping out.
In front.
He kind of reminds a little bit of Game On Dude in terms of a horse that gets these kinds of splits: 23-3, 23-4, 23-4, 24 flat, and 12-3. If this isn't a gauntlet throw, if you're going to let this horse get those kinds of fractions, you're not going to reel him in, and you got to be excited about what lies ahead as the late summer and fall unfolds.
We are. Mike and I haven't really discussed the plan of whether we'll make the Woodward and the Jockey Club and the Classic, or skip the Woodward and go to the Jockey Club, or vice versa. And fresh into the Classic. Well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'll let Mike make decisions. I make too many damn decisions.
Hey, don't let him fool you. He's just saying that because we're on TV. He doesn't listen to me.
I don't listen to him at all.
10 years, so no,
yeah,
he's not gonna start
15
now.
years. It's been 15 already.
Mike, I'd love for you to speak for him in this setting.
Oh, he's good at that.
Because I think that the public has a certain perception.
What?
Well, just a little bit, thanks to your outgoing personality. But you've known him. You guys have grown up together and are lifelong friends. In terms of the business and in terms of the experience and him operating the horse side of the business, talk about the relationship and just your thoughts. I mean, as everything that's happened over the last several years has unfolded.
Well, look, the fact of the matter is, I know Eric the man, not Eric the horse trainer, not Eric the character you guys get to see all the time. And, he's a great guy, and he's a great person, and he's a loyal person. He loves his family, he loves his friends, he loves life. All the theatrics that you guys get to see is just him having fun. He doesn't mean anything, by it. That's just him having a good time. But the fact of the matter is, he's a great horseman, and the people on the backside that know him, his colleagues and trainers, know that he is. He knows how to train a racehorse. If he had more of a little bit more bedside manner and more of a political bone in his body, he'd probably have a bunch of owners and 3 times the size stable that he's got.
Which I don't want.
Because it takes a little time to peel the onion and get to know him, because you just see the exterior, and he comes across as kind of a crazy Cajun, but he knows what he's doing.
Watch how you peel the onion. Now you remember you cry when you peel the onion. So
yeah, but onions taste good, right?
Cheers are good for everyone.
They still taste good.
Well, and frankly, I can think back to
Cold hard truth, Steve.
Well, I've seen you tear up plenty of times.
Yesterday when my horse got put down.
Well, of course, and then even the Travers, when he ran the race he did in the Travers, you were so delighted with the effort and more or less him justifying all your confidence.
Yeah, I know. It was I'd do it all over again. I think emotionally we kind of waited out a little bit. Mike, I got a little emotion and ran through the file because my brother sent the video, and then Mike bought him a new truck. Mike kind of got exhilarated from the whole deal, and I got raked over the coals. But what am I doing? But oh well, life goes on. I got wide shoulders for that reason. God made him carry the load, like I got beat like a renting mule with a bad contract.
Got to ask, because people, a lot of times people will not necessarily understand about the gelding of a horse, and one of the first things people wondered out loud, if they didn't realize that this is a gelding, he's going to be around for a while. And one of the things that happens, people say, oh, it's so too bad that they gelded him. Well, you might not have the horse you have if you hadn't gelded him.
Oh, we wouldn't have. There's no doubt about that. He would get nervous, and he's a very, very intelligent. He doesn't exert himself 100%. And the earplugs made all the difference. The Gildan started it, and the earplugs and blinkers made all the difference in putting him in front of the ring. He does not like, just like the Met Mile, if you go back and look, Steve, it's not like he can't run with them if he wanted to. It's just not his gig. He's like, okay, I ran 3/8 of a mile, 45 and change, trying to keep up. I can't keep up. Threw my head up and did this and threw his head up and ate dirt and said, dead last. Everybody else is concerned, oh, Marino's off of form. And I'm like, was I ever doubted that he'd come back and run big? No. I knew he was going to come back when I put the equipment back and go on a mile and a quarter. I knew he'd run big.
And from that standpoint, that's the difference between a horse at 2 turns and a horse going 1 turn or an extended sprint.
Fractions always make a race. I mean, speed's dangerous, 2 furlongs to 2 miles, and inner fractions make races. I mean, there's been horses like when I had that good filly show me the stage. She was never the favorite as a 2-year-old until she got 3 and they just got tired of getting beat. It was like because she'd go 6 furlongs, final time 10 and change, the other horses would go 9 and change, but she did it 21, 44, 56, and then she'd run them off their feet, and they'd go, 22, 57, 109 and change. So they always bet the horse with the final time. But they had to try, they would get tired chasing. She just run them off their feet, and that's what Marino does. He runs them off their feet.
You alluded to it before, Woodward coming up. Is that a legitimate possibility that you come again at the meet?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Obviously, he loves Saratoga. He loves this track.
And it's a question of whether we run in the Woodward and then get him ready for the Breeders' Cup, or we skip the Woodward, run the Jockey Club, and get him ready for the Breeders' Cup.
What are you looking at to make the decision?
He's going to tell us. I mean, he's going to tell us if he comes back next week.
Well, how did he come out of the race?
Fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
he's good. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, you read the bond checking on him this morning?
No, I got my memo. I got
That's right. Yeah.
Did he just say he just got out of bed?
Yeah, we heard this at the beginning of that story earlier. So, Eric, I'm going to ask you just a kind of a basic question, training question, because you had some horses in Southern California over the winter. And in fact, if you look back on the past performances, the last workout on the page, the earliest workout for Marino's out in Santa Anita in May. Why is it Cajun based in Southern California in the wintertime?
Oh, I've been there 33 years. Actually, I moved there, I was 20 years old. I started, my training career actually in California. Matter of fact, the first registered race I've ever won as a trainer was a grade 2. Grade 2 Triple Bend. Yeah, I paid $38 with a horse that I claimed to fix the boat tendon. The lady took away, and I claimed back for 32. 6 weeks later, it was a graded stakes race. Colt goes from claim to fame in the LA Times. So I've always been out in California, but I got here early this year because Mike and I made a decision. The track was it was like rock hard, and they changing it hopefully for the good. Just needed we got a barn full of nice young colts and fillies, and I wanted to be able to give them their best chance here. And Saratoga, Oklahoma was a really good spot.
Got to ask before we wrap up too, Eric, because you've also got the baby that we were looking forward to, the Genius. When are we going to see Genius?
Oh, plan on running him Saturday.
Very good.
Yesterday and Saturday, and Elle likes the Genius.
She does.
He likes the bike.
He likes it. He likes the bite. Yeah, he does.
I got to tell you, you asked earlier about being in the business as long as I have. Yesterday was the biggest thrill of our lives, not just because it was a great race, but to share it with my daughter and have her walk the horse in the winner's circle. That was just a dream come true. So she and I had a special day yesterday.
A lot of flowers too.
There's been, I got to mention, they've had some special moments with this team, particularly Champagne Doro. That's my favorite win of yours in the Acorn at $80. That one
right.
We're still spending that money.
When Elle was about 18 months old, one of her first 3-syllable word was polka. She had a dress on, and I go, "Oh, that's a nice striped dress," and she goes, "No, it's just polka dot dress," So I've always, her nickname for Garrick was always called her Little Polka Dot, and she called me Big Polka Dot teasback. So we named the horse Little Polka Dot, Big Polka Dot. I thought for sure that the Big Polka Dot I named was that Tappy Coat when his first time was going to outrun him, but hers ended up making 400,000 stakes. Mine ended up being common and running for 7,500 somewhere. So you were right again.
Unbelievable. Mike Moreno, El Moreno, and Eric Guillot, winners yesterday of the Whitney, and maybe coming back right now at least for the Woodward, and then pointing toward the Breeders' Cup Classic. Guys, thanks so much, and El, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to take a break. When we come right back here on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning, Leah Giamatti joins us on the heels of a thrilling test victory with Sweet Reason. Back after this.
Go Zephyr kicking clear, and Go Zephyr is pulling away. Impressive.
comfortably.
Historical Lady Ginger Punch to win it.
And it's Wilco in front, and he's going to pull off a huge upset here.
But it's Round Pond going on to take the distaff.
Awesome again. Star of 10 Grade 1 winners, 4 Breeders' Cup champions, and 4 multimillionaires standing at Adena Springs.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what can be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Sovereign Stable.
Partnerships.
Ownership.
Winning.
Sovereign Stable.
The anticipation.
The excitement.
The thrill.
Top-level racing.
Sovereign Stable.
Join us in the morning on the backstretch of Saratoga Racecourse to experience the magic of thoroughbred ownership. Call 866-329-2WIN to meet trainers, jockeys, and watch sovereign horses on the track.
We're back on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning after Whitney Day, the Vanderbilt and Test 3 Grade 1s, and in the middle of everything, an incredible test stakes that was undoubtedly the most thrilling race of the day. It results in Leah Giamatti and Sweet Reason and Jeff Treadway coming away with another Grade 1. Leah, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This was, of course, a companion performance to go with the Acorn, and in a lot of ways, this ended up being even more of a battle with a terrific cast of fillies and some horses that you're chasing down that stayed on with resolution.
Absolutely. It was a very good race, very salty. She had her work cut out for her. I thought going into this would be the toughest race that she's run yet, competition-wise.
And you know, one of the things that's become really a hallmark for her is it doesn't seem like she demands the big pace setup either anymore. She can now basically be kind of directed like a missile.
Yes, you're right. You're right, because I think I did think they would go a little faster. They went. It was an honest pace, but it wasn't anything blistering that you thought, oh, this is going to fall apart and we're going to come running. So that made it all the more impressive that she could still run them down, even though they were running at the end.
We're watching here, and actually, you've got to be delighted at this point because you're in the clear. You know, you're not going to have to worry about any traffic, and basically, Irado Ortiz Jr. is going to have his choice of paths when they fan out.
Yeah, but it still looked like he still had to maneuver a little bit when he turned for home, and when he finally got outside, I was a little worried that maybe he didn't have enough time.
And she's a 7 horse in here for people who
right.
Here she's behind Tea Time, and this actually, and then dives inside, right? And which was important because Tea Time starts to back up,
right?
And that could have been a problem.
Yep.
And now a free clear run to the lead.
Yes, and he never hits her. He tapped her a couple times on the shoulder right
Amazing.
here, I think, and that was it.
And of course she wins clear, but got to acknowledge as part of this discussion the efforts in here of 50 Shades of Gold for Brett Calhoun and Phil Schoenthal's little Pennsylvania bred Misbehavior, who was incredibly game.
Yes, no, they ran incredible, and the whole field. I mean, really, it was a really good race on everybody's part.
Well, these are starting to pile up, Leah, and I guess once you break the Grade 1 ice last year, they're just
they're just going to flow.
Coming like water.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about her and the beginning of the 3-year-old season, because you never know if that 2-year-old form will hold over. She came back and won the seasonal debut, but numbers watchers, the numbers a little light, then the 3rd place finish. Did you have any concern as the 3-year-old season started?
I did. I thought that maybe we were going to be a little disappointed because we really had high hopes last year. Thank God she turned around. She wasn't 100% for those races, and I think I didn't realize it until later on into the spring. I thought she was doing well in the winter, but I think the winter really took its toll on her. She started looking a little off, but she's turned around, and thank God she's really really better than ever.
So 2 Grade 1s now. What's next on the agenda?
We're not sure yet. We have to sit down, map it out, see what all our options are. I mean, I know what our options are, but it'll depend on how she came out of this race, and I think she wants that time in between races. I think last year maybe I ran her a little too close together, and that kind of helped her tail off a little bit. So this time around, I'm trying to keep everything spaced properly, because she really does lay everything on the track. She gives you 100%, and you have to give her time to recoup.
In terms of her as an evolving racehorse, clearly the 1-turn and the extended routes feel like a better fit for her than the 2 turns.
I think so, but like I said, when we're doing the 2 turns, she wasn't 100%. I know that now.
Is that translate as saying you want to give her another shot?
Yes, I think that's going to happen. I don't know when. I don't know where that chance is going to happen, but I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, she certainly excels at the 1-turn distances, but I wouldn't say she can't do the 2 turns.
Are you thinking Distaff for the end of the year, Breeders' Cup?
Possibly.
The Filly and Mare Sprint.
Everything's on the table.
Yeah, those are the options.
So you can go either way. Yeah. You can, she can do either one. So I guess we'll have to see about the 2 turns at some point before that. Or not. Really, nothing has been, we have not talked about it. All we did was celebrate last night, and we did not discuss where we were going next.
Speaking of that, how'd she come out of the race?
Great. She didn't leave an oat. She cleaned her tub.
You mentioned we collectively, and of course Jeff Treadway is such a tremendous part of this story. Very much like Mike Moreno, who we just had with Eric Guillot. Jeff Treadway has been so supportive of you. We've talked about it already, over the last 6 months. Him getting rewarded for his perseverance in the sport and for his investment in the sport, and that's always a positive message for other people looking in to see. Here we have the sale tomorrow and Tuesday. We're going to talk to Glennie Kane Oakford next, and people like Mike Moreno and Jeff Treadway deserve these kinds of wins.
They do, and it's one thing that you're making the investment with the money. It's also the investment with your time, the patience. It's not going to work out right away sometimes, and sometimes you have to go through a lot of rough spots, and it's the perseverance. That's what it is. I mean, it's really just about not being afraid to come back and try again, because there are a lot of bumps in the road most of the time.
And in a way that the people behind the procurement of the horses, where they believe in whether it's pedigree or whether it's physical properties, there's also the owner that needs to believe in their trainer. And there's a message here as well. If you don't have instant success, particularly with somebody who isn't necessarily high profile, the message here is stick with the person that you expressed your belief in. And one of the biggest problems we've got in this sport right now, from my perspective, is the concentration of talent and talented horses in too few hands. And so to see you and Jeff Treadway and Mike Moreno and Eric Guillot have these kinds of successes, hopefully it sends out a message that there's more than 6 people in this sport that can train Grade 1 winning horses.
Yes, I agree. I'm very thankful that Jeff gave me the opportunity, because he could just as easily have gone to a higher profile trainer, and I'm sure they would have done very well, and he would have been successful as well. So a lot of thanks to Jeff for for choosing me and for sticking with me, even though it didn't pan out early on. Because I agree with you. I think besides the point of good horses being concentrated in just a few barns, there's also the fact that when owners don't have immediate success, they kind of hop from one trainer to another, thinking, well, this isn't working, let me try this, let me try that. It's the commitment of a partnership that makes something successful, I think, in anything, not just with horses, it's anything you do. Make a good decision, stick with it through tough times, and that's the way you succeed, I think. I mean, that's just my opinion. But
there's no doubt. Got to, Leah, as we wind down from the visit, and I hate to end this on a down note. However, you're the ideal person to let it be known for those that may not have heard that overnight Alan Jerkins lost his wife Elizabeth, lifelong partner, and of course the seeds of your career sown with the Chief. And the entire, not just New York training community and fan base and everyone, just express our sorrow and extend our sympathies to the Chief and to Jimmy and Stephen and Julie and everyone that is part of that Jerkins family.
Yes, and we miss both the Chief and Liz up here this year, so that was tough enough not having him around all spring and summer, and this news, of course, also very sad. But the Chief is doing all right. Yes, and he'll get through it. And he was at the barn this morning. I heard. I did not talk to him at the barn, but I heard he was there at 5:30. So he does what he does best.
And it's been a very, very difficult week for Alan. Lost his sister as well last week.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things Dave Grenig talking with me earlier, and maybe one of the side positives here is that, you know, one of the reasons that Alan stayed in Florida was for Liz, and maybe, you know, maybe in the fall, maybe we'll get him back.
Well, it would be nice that if he were closer, so that we could all help and be around him and do everything we can. It's a little difficult, long distance, to be that kind of support system. So, but we love you, Alan. I know you're probably not watching this right now, but we do. We miss you so much.
We weren't going to miss a chance to congratulate Leah Giamatti and Jeff Treadway and Sweet Reason for the test victory. One of the real highlights so far of the first half.
Two Saratoga Grade 1s on the resume now. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good, isn't it?
Look at that smile.
I'll take it.
Love it. We're going to help some people maybe pick out the next Sweet Reason, although I see that Eric Guillot and Mike Moreno have the 2-year-old sister.
Oh, do they have?
They
really?
do.
Okay.
They do. They were.
I saw that filly at the Timonium sale. She's beautiful.
And I'm going to be seeing her soon, apparently, according to the boys. After Leah here, we're going to be joined by Glennie Kane Oakford of the Blood Horse. We'll talk about the sale tomorrow and Tuesday, and then, of course, following up next Saturday and Sunday, the New York bred sale, and Leah will be shopping.
I hope so. Get my list ready.
If you're a prospective owner and you want somebody to take you to the sale, how about Leah Giamatti? We'll be back after this on Loose on the Lead.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their player rewards program when wagering on Saratoga races? For more information, log on to CapitalOTB.com.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Saratoga Classic on August 9th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
I didn't want to get just any degree after high school.
Horse racing has always been my passion.
I was already a lawyer.
When I was young, my dad took me to the races. The sound of the crowd. I still remember.
I'm 40, and I don't want to stay in a career I don't love.
I want to follow my passion.
Follow your passion at the University of Arizona Racetrack Industry Program.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Loose on the Lead, live from the Saratoga backstretch. The races have started already out on Nelson Avenue, clearly. Somebody just drag raced by the set, but happy to be joined now by Glennie Kane-Oakford. Always happy to talk to Glennie on Sales Week because she's one of the experts when it comes to the sales. Monday, Tuesday here up in Saratoga. If you haven't been, right down the street from the racetrack, the Fasig Tipton Sales Pavilion, you can come. There's a nice open bar in the paddock in the back. Come and watch the biggest gamblers in the business. And
clearly, the first priority, priority of the sale. Oh, there's a bar. There's a bar there.
I do not drink when I'm over. I'm barely a drinker to begin with. But I'm just saying, if people are going over, you have that option. But Lenny's going to talk about what the important part is over there. And do you agree with my assessment? I always say it's fun going over there because, as opposed to just 2 blocks away, these are the biggest gamblers in the business when it comes down to it.
Yeah, they really, really are. That's absolutely true. And I'll have a gin and tonic, by the way, when you're over there, because I could use a drink every once in a while myself there. But they are, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of racing fans don't really get. I mean, they're so used to seeing the racetrack, they gamble themselves. They understand the gambles that the owners and the trainers are putting just by having these horses and putting them on the racetrack. But if you cross the street, go over to the sales pavilion and look at these horses, they're unraced, unbroken, they're 1 year old. All you've got is the page to go by and what the relatives have done and what you think that horse looks like, and put up, a couple $100,000 or more. And certainly at this sale, you could see $1 million easily. That's a huge gamble. And so it's kind of a lot of fun for the sales to be in such close proximity to the racetrack where the fans can come over and see that. It's unusual for fans to get to have that easy access, but you get it at Saratoga.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And, 3 words for the folks who don't think those are the biggest gamblers in the business: the green monkey.
Yeah, that's a sad but true tale. Yes.
And I've never seen the percentages broken down, particularly for 7-figure and above horses. But it's an absolute roll of the dice. It's not like 7 figures guarantees. I would guess it's no better than 50-50 that you're going to get a good runner, and probably below that.
It's hard to know, and of course, one of the best ways that you can try and handicap that if you're a buyer or a bloodstock agent is to look at that catalog page and see what the family has done. And in addition to the catalog itself, of course, they have lots of other tools. They have veterinarians, they have the auction edge that the Blood Horse produces. They have all sorts of reports and things to look at to really drill down into that information to try and get an edge, which is what everybody wants, whether you're at the racetrack as a gambler or you're at the racetrack as an owner or at the sales as an owner.
And I've never asked you this before, but before we get into some specifics, how did you get into the game and become a kind of a pedigree expert?
I don't consider myself a pedigree expert. Let me start there. Then you're in worse shape than I realize if you think I'm the expert. I know a lot of guys who know a lot more than I do. But I was a college student in New Jersey, and I used to go to the racetrack.
That's a natural then.
I used to go all the time to the races, and actually I'm probably, everybody would be probably surprised to hear, since Keeneland is now my home track, one of my all-time favorite tracks is Aqueduct. I always loved Aqueduct. I used to go there for most of the school year. So that's how I got involved. I got hired by the Old Thoroughbred Times, worked for the Racing Forum, now for the Blood Horse. So it kind of progressed from there.
And of course, the author of The Home Run Horse, which is still available.
It is.
And is a tremendous look at the sales process. In terms of the sales, Glennie, let's get into some specifics. Let's first set the stage for the market conditions as we move forward from the July sale into the prime season, August, September, and on down the road for the yearling market.
Well, I'll tell you, the market right now looks pretty good. It took a very, very hard hit when the global financial meltdown occurred, as we all remember. Everybody got hit by that, and the bloodstock market was no exception. We've seen the foal crop fall way off since then, down a great deal, because, of course, a lot of people simply didn't want to put money into breeding horses anymore at that point, or couldn't put money into it. That has helped the market rebound because now, of course, there's a much smaller supply. And in addition to that, a lot of the horses that got culled out of people's breeding programs were their lower level horses. They kept their quality, the people who stayed in. So you tend to have smaller, perhaps a little more elite crops. And that's certainly the perception as the buyers go to auction. They realize that they don't have as many opportunities as they used to have to sift through these horses, and they're pretty serious about buying. In addition, as the economy has kind of come back and improved, those people have a bit more money and they feel a bit more flush. So we're seeing with all of those conditions, the prices are starting to rise again. Fasig-Tipton July was the first sale of the season. It's not a lot to go on because it was a small catalog, but that one-day sale held pretty much level with last year. Median was down 2.8%. That's really not very much in today's world. That's still a good sign of stability. So I think we're going to see stability with possibly a little bit of rising here, because now we have the real select pedigrees that you didn't have as many of in Fasig-Tipton July. These big pedigrees are starting to sell here at Saratoga, so that should lift the top of the market. It's going to be interesting to see whether there's much of a middle market here too. The sellers were telling me all the last couple of weeks when I was interviewing them for my preview, they were all saying, remind people that we want to sell our horses as much at Saratoga as we do anywhere else. It's the buyback rate that people are really going to want to see here. Some sellers have the feeling that buyers come to this sale, they have a very, very short list of horses, a very long list of requirements, and so they go home with just one or two horses that they really liked, and if they got outbid on others, they don't look farther down in the market. They don't look anywhere else, and so the middle market horses suffer. That's always the thing to watch here at Saratoga, is how polarized that market is.
Glennie, in terms of what we're going to see Monday and Tuesday, when you look at the roster of sires, it's a very interesting mix. And one of the things that struck me, and we haven't even seen yet the first crop, of course, next year from a horse like Point of Entry. But you look down here and you see a pointed number of grass sires between Kitten's Joy, More Than Ready, Geoponte, English Channel. And I was really struck by that, and I'm just wondering, is there potential to depress the big numbers, those seven-figure buys, just because those horses cannot be necessarily anticipated to get you your classic dirt types that the shoppers at this kind of sale are looking for?
You make a very good point, but I think the other side to that is they're also hoping to attract international buyers and people whose programs are often geared toward Europe. So you may see, and there are a lot of wealthy buyers like that. Sheikh Mohammed is one, obviously has a very important European program. He's global. Coolmore, same thing. They've got horses running on grass as well. There are a number of big money buyers who can come in and look for a horse that they can possibly take somewhere else. So that's one of the reasons I'm sure that you're seeing this. I do think it's interesting, though, too, what you're saying. I wonder if it will have that effect. On the other hand, the grass horses are also known to go a little bit longer, and perhaps there's a feeling that they're worth this risk because they're putting a little bit more stamina back into the breed. We have an abundant speed pedigrees here, so they don't need to worry about that. It's putting good, high-quality stamina back in the right doses. A lot of these pedigrees will be pretty well balanced that way, so I don't think it's going to be a turnoff to an American buyer that a horse is by Kitten's Joy.
In terms of first crop sires that are going to be available here, there is a glut of Uncle Mo's that struck me right away when I was looking at the sire line part of this, the index to the sires. Talk about some expectations and what read we're getting, and maybe some hips that you expect will attract a lot of attention.
Well, I think the interesting thing about the freshman sires is when the economic crisis hit, immediately everybody went off the freshman sires. They had been the blue sky potential horses for about a decade. That's all anybody wanted was freshman sires. And then as soon as the economy went, everybody went blue chip. They all went back to the proven stallions. Now we're starting to see, as you point out, kind of a good number of freshman sires back in this catalog, and that's a sign, I think, that people are getting a bit more confident. Not only is it interesting just because they're the freshman sires, but of who some of these freshman sires are. I mean, Uncle Mo, a champion, Gio Ponte, a champion. There's a really nice crop of first-year sires in here. And Uncle Mo, you mentioned, he does have a really nice one that I was going to mention anyway. Hip number 68, which will sell Monday night, is a Grayer Roan filly and a half-sister to Awesome Humor. So that's a really lovely pedigree. That should definitely attract some attention. And Gio Ponte has Hip 80, which I'll flip to now. Hip 80 is a 3/4 sister, again another filly, to a champion in She's a Tiger and to Smiling Tiger, a Grade 1 winner. So some of these freshman sires are really bringing the goods in terms of having good pedigrees from the mares that, that they were bred to. If you're going to talk proven stallions or more proven stallions, Tappet is about as hot as it gets right now. And there are some Tappets in the catalog that I am really interested in. Going back to what you said, Seth, earlier about the gambling, here's a gamble for you. The top price at the Fasig-Tipton July yearling sale that just was a couple of weeks ago was $550,000 for a yearling. Well, Hip number 69 in this sale cost $550,000 as a weanling. These people have made that kind of a gamble. They paid more than $500,000 for this filly just to resell her here at Saratoga. So that's going to be interesting just for the size of that gamble. That's tremendous. But she does have a good pedigree behind her as well. She's out of Rote, who is a Tisnow mare. This is the first foal out of Rote. Rote herself doesn't have any black type, but if you look farther down under the second dam, Magnificent Song, Great Barrier Reef, Park Avenue, it's quite a nice family. Now, a Tappet filly these days has got to be worth some money almost no matter what. But a nice pedigree, a big pin hook, that's going to be a really interesting one to watch. There's also going to be one that I think racing fans will particularly appreciate again on Monday. It's another Tappet filly, Hip number 81. She is the next to last horse through the ring on Monday night, and she's out of champion She Be Wild. Her half-sister is called She Be a Little Wild. The breeders retained that filly and didn't sell her. She's not yet started, but she's training up to a start, so that's going to be interesting to watch as well. But the She Be Wild, I'm really particularly interested in that. What a pedigree, and a current one.
Got to ask Glennie about hip number 32, consigned by Mill Ridge. This is a Tisnow filly out of Kobla Cat, and of course Kobla Cat, a daughter of Kobla, dam of Quality Road. This is a really nice female family. I'm curious if we know anything if there's any buzz associated with her.
I have not seen this filly yet, although, and I should mention here too that a lot of the horses here seem to be fillies. I mean, a lot of the horses on my hot list are fillies. This is a very filly-strong catalog, which is good for people wanting to invest in the future. Again, could be a sign of confidence in the future of the market. If people are buying well-bred yearling fillies, it's often with a view to their ultimately being broodmares. Quality Road, this family has a lot of heat on it in general. Now, I don't know about this particular filly, but if you remember back when these horses were dispersed from Spring Hill Farm, they just set the world on fire. They sold a lot. Now, this is a great opportunity, it seems, for somebody to get into that kind of really deep family, the Edward Evans breeding program.
Exactly.
You'll have to do it at a yearling, but you'll get a discount probably because it's a yearling, as opposed to don't let her run and win a Grade 1 and then have to come back and try and buy her as a broodmare prospect. So probably people will be looking at her from that perspective too, as a long-term view. I can get into a family that I couldn't necessarily afford otherwise. This is a really interesting opportunity, I think.
It's always a great opportunity for us to talk about the sales market with Glennie Kane Oakford of the Blood Horse. She'll be tweeting from the ring tomorrow, and her articles will, of course, cover the sales numbers and the raw data, but also insights and conversations with those in attendance. And as we take our break and head to a visit with Steve Haskin, now her colleague at the Blood Horse, got to mention continuing story. There's no Warriors Rewards in this catalog, but the hottest first crop sire of 2-year-olds, 6 out of 10 now, Glennie.
Wow.
How about our boy Warriors Rewards?
First 5 straight.
Yeah, not bad.
It's unbelievable.
Wait till Keeneland September. They'll be there.
And they'll be selling. We're going to take our break. Glennie Kane Oakford, of course, always thankful for her visits. And we're going to come back with Steve Haskin to wrap up this edition of Loose on the Lead, Sunday morning on the backstretch at Saratoga. Back after this.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what can be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Stately Victor, final furlong of the Toyota Bluegrass, runs right by Patio Prado. Alan Garcia and Stately Victor, a 40-1 upset.
Dinah Zappa holding on. Dinah Zappa win.
Horse of the Year Ghost Sapper, sire of 9 new stakes horses and 5 new stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Stately Victor in 2010, standing at Adena Springs.
We're back on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning. It's been a busy stage, but as always, we save the hammer for the finale. Here he is, Steve Askin of the Blood Horse, everybody.
Great to be here, Saratoga, the place of dreams.
You know, for you, it really is the linchpin to your entire life. It's come full circle yet again. It's where you asked your lovely wife, Joan, to marry you. You've been coming back for years, and now your daughter, who will be betrothed in October, has moved to the Albany area.
Yes, and she's right behind that camera, right where I'm looking right now. I'm looking right out. This is my 46th year at Saratoga. And yeah, Joan and I, we got engaged up here, and we come to the sales every year afterwards and sit behind the barn, way in the back, and get a little split of champagne from the Spite and Dival, and just celebrate our anniversary of getting engaged. And Joan used to work up here. She worked up here for 3 years as the public relations coordinator for NYRA. So I'd be standing under her window, say, "Come on, I'm ready, we gotta go to dinner." You know, waiting for her, just like a little.
You had a great column just fairly recently, or middle of July, called "The Summer of '69," where you remember the trip up here in the summer of '69. Talk a little bit about that. You and your friend Fred.
Yes, me and my friend Fred. We came up. We stayed at the old Victoria Hotel.
Oh wow!
Which is now a Boston
better story,
Market.
Better story though. How you got up here?
Well, the thing is, we took the Trailways bus up here, you know, and believe it or not, it was my first trip away from home. That's how cloistered a life I led. I was 20.
I love that though.
I was 21 years old, and the first time I left home to come to Saratoga.
This will quickly turn into a Woody Allen movie in a matter of seconds.
Right. I had come up here in '68. I saw Dr. Fager work out for the Washington Park Handicap when he broke the world record. But I just absolutely fell in love with it, and it came up in '69. And little did I know is that when I was taking the bus up here, passing the exit that said Woodstock on there, that at Woodstock at the time was my future wife. She was at Woodstock, and she was rocking and rolling, and I was arts and lettering in the Jim Dandy, and coming up for the Chuvie and the Alabama Stakes, and same weekend as Woodstock.
Is she the girl on the album cover out in the barn?
Yeah, well, that would be. She looks a little like her.
Right, a tall blonde,
exactly.
A tall willowy blonde.
Yeah, well, she probably was just as drunk as her, or just as high, yeah, I should say.
I love it. Oh, Steve.
She came up with her boyfriend. So
you took care of him.
Yes, exactly. I made her forget him quick enough.
Before we forget while we're here, let's.
Oh yeah, right. We're in Saratoga.
Steve, you were of course at the Haskell. You were down at Monmouth. You live in proximity, of course, to Oceanport. The 3-year-old scene. We were just talking about what went on in the West Virginia Derby yesterday with Tapiture. The 3-year-old scene continues to evolve, and of course, Wicked Strong re-emerged, and kind of in a way, even though he didn't win the Belmont, it kind of feels like Summerbird Light to some extent.
Winning, for sure.
Right, winning New York bred stakes, and then having to mix it up on the higher level, waiting for that next big hit.
For sure, and you have to remember too, Summerbird early on in the year, you thought of him as a come from behind horse, but as he got better, he got closer and closer to the lead. So that's the way Wicked Strong now with the blinkers. The funny thing is that Jimmy Jerkins wanted to put full blinkers on him. And Alan said, well, Alan goes, what does he need blinkers for? Don't put any blinkers. He doesn't need any blinkers. So Jimmy compromised and put cheaters on. And they were perfect. He said that's exactly just what he needed, just those cheater blinkers. And all the quirks and the bad things that horse did early on in his career, he stopped doing in the Jim Dandy. He used to cock his head all the time to the side. He'd always drift all over the place. Ran straight as an arrow. Kept his head straight, so the blinkers obviously worked. And who knows? We could be seeing a totally different horse right now. He's going to love. Obviously, he's going to love the 1.25 miles. So right now, he's the horse to beat.
Give us a feel for the entire agglomeration of the 3-year-old crop.
Yeah, the consensus seems to be it's turned out to be a pretty good crop.
Well, the funny thing is that here you got the 2 best 3-year-olds supposedly out on the West Coast. And as you look at Shared Belief. We'll see what he does in the Pacific Classic and California Chrome, of course.
And Bayern goes back home.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, the 2 horses that are going to be running out there that we will not see, we have no idea how they're going to come back. We'll see what happens in the Pacific Classic, and we'll see what happens when California Chrome, if they run him in some cockamamie race at Los Alamitos, if they think that's going to get him ready for the Classic, I don't know. But anyway, with those put off to the side for now. We still have a heck of a good group. We don't know how good Bayern is. I mean, the last 2 races have been absolutely brilliant. But you still got Tonalist, you still got Wicked Strong. Even the horse that finished 3rd, Kid Cruz, ran a very unusual race in the Jim Dandy. We actually broke on top and then came on again like a fresh horse. So, and then of course we'll see what happens. There might be a few others from the Haskell. Watch out for the 4th place finisher in that race. I Wish You Well.
Yeah.
That horse was dead last. He was 6-7 lengths behind the next to the last horse on a track that was so totally speed favoring. And if you watch him, he actually gets blocked a couple of times. He gets his path taken away twice in the stretch. And he was actually moving pretty good. And he was only beaten like, a half a length or so for 3rd. And he was coming. He's got the pedigree, and he's getting good right now. So that's a key horse. Kenny McPeak says he's running a horse. He's got a horse that just broke his maiden named CJ's Awesome that he's very high on.
CJ's Awesome.
Yeah, he's looking at the Travers for him. So I don't see a big field at all, but I think it's going to be a pretty interesting quality field.
Bob Baffert was non-committal with me talking about Bayern coming out of the Haskell, and the way he is, he's going to make that decision, on the fly. Yeah. It really, post Haskell, the people that did the research and came up with that interesting sidebar with all the success in the Haskell, Baffert, other than Point Given, 0 for 3 with 3 pretty middling to rotten performances from his Haskell exiters, that have tried to come and run back in the Travers.
Exactly.
Coil, Liaison, and
right. And I think
else.
One of the reasons why you saw a really finished, polished product in Point Given in the Travers was the fact that we saw half the horse's quality in the Haskell. He was not ready at all.
He ran a bad hoof.
He did not run his A race at all. He ran. Luckily, he might have run his B race in there. I remember he was all out to win over a couple of right. There's a couple of ordinary horses.
Surprised I remember Touchdown.
Very good. I'm glad you did because I couldn't remember his name. So I mean, he actually used the Haskell as a prep. Baffert's other horses, that was their race. That was the Haskell. They were Haskell horses. They weren't Travers horses. So they ran their A race in there. But when you think about it, not a lot of horses have come off the Haskell. Now you have to go back. I go back to 49er with him and Seeking the Gold when they both came off the Haskell and ran the same exact race in the Travers. but you don't see it that often. You see more Jim Dandy horses do well in the Travers.
We don't see Steve Haskin often enough.
I'm here. Just call on me. I'll give you my card.
I had to arm wrestle you away from breakfast to get you here today.
Listen, you got to go to that breakfast, boy.
She makes a nice breakfast, no doubt about it. Rhoda Friedberg.
Yes.
Avi Friedberg. Mrs.
Stop,
Avi Friedberg.
stop by the Friedbergs anytime you want.
Anytime, right there on Fifth Avenue, next to the
right
track.
on Fifth Avenue. Horses will be galloping right by you. Wayne Lucas and Steve Asmussen will walk right by you over there. You can wave you a cup of coffee at him.
Kenny McPeak will be pouring the orange
Kenny
juice.
McPeak lives right next door.
Unbelievable. Steve will be back, of course, for Travers. He's hanging around. Stop him at the track and tell him how much you love his work, as we do. Seth, take us home.
All right, and do you want to tell the event one more time?
Well, unless you're on your way right now, you can get a Princess of Silmar T-shirt and the Princess of Silmar poster to benefit St. Baldrick's Foundation that are looking for cures for childhood cancers. I think come up with a better charity than that. And you can meet Eddie Stanko. You can meet Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano. They'll sign autographs, you name it. Try to get here before noon. They're in front of the Silks Room.
All right, that's today. All right, we'll wrap things up for Loose on the Lead for this Sunday morning. We're here every Sunday morning, obviously, and during the race meet, we're live from the Saratoga backstretch, 10 to 11 a.m. Questions, comments, suggestions, we would love to hear from you. LooseOnTheLead@yahoo.com. By all means, get in touch with us. That's going to wrap things up for this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow, Equidaily.com. Steve Bick from Sirius and XM's At the Races. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets, and again, we'll see you next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.